What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Restoration Rundown Podcast, the podcast that's dedicated to you, the restoration business owner. My name is Ben Riccardi, your host, and I am the owner of Ironclad Restoration Marketing, where I help restoration business owners across the United States get more sales by just getting their internet marketing right. Today, we're talking about something that's super important for your restoration business, and that is investing in an organic search traffic strategy, or SEO. Now, I'm here to tell you, if you run any type of website, you probably think about traffic a lot, and every single time you publish a piece of content, if you're doing this stuff on your own, you're probably checking it out and looking at analytics to see where people come from, how they're getting to your website. But a lot of you guys out there are taking a sit back and wait approach to this stuff because you can't kind of force anybody to go to your website, or can you? So today, we're going to go over why SEO is a must-have for your restoration business, or if you have an indoor air quality business, or if you're a public adjuster, or really any type of service-based industry. SEO has got to be the most fundamental aspect of any type of marketing strategy, all right? Because you need more traffic, you need search engine visibility, because guess what? Most internet experiences, I think it's like 96% of internet experience start on a search engine. All right. And so how you get more visitors to your website? Well, guess what? Organic search is the golden ticket from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It is the ticket to the kingdom. It is the ticket to getting more consistent lead flow. And we're going to show you a few reasons why, and we're going to compare it against some of the other channels that you guys are using right now to get leads into your business, whether that's a lead gen site like 33 Mile or you're utilizing pay-per-click. We're going to show you why SEO wins that fight every single time. All right. So number one, if you don't know what SEO is and you don't know what organic traffic is, SEO is really just the practice of driving organic traffic to your website. And organic traffic is traffic that comes to your site when somebody types a query into a search engine, Google, and then clicks on your organic listing, which is directly below the paid and the maps results. And then they end up on your website. So anytime somebody comes to your website from a search engine result, that is considered organic search traffic. So if you guys have been using an agency and you are present in the monthly meetings that you should be having to go over analytics and go over traffic and really analyze your strategy online, and you don't know what organic traffic is, and you're just kind of listening to these guys throw these words out and everything in these analytics, at least now you know what organic traffic is, okay? And you got to remember, a little bit of this is cut off here, but 98% of people on the planet, and we're only focusing on the US, use a search engine to find a product or service. If I could see you all out there, or you're listening to this, think about the last time you were trying to either figure out a way to fix something in your house, find a new restaurant to go to for you and the family, need a part for your car, or your car's making noise. What are you going to do? You're going to go to a search engine, whether you're on your desktop or your phone. So understanding what organic traffic is and where that placement is and how important it is to kind of take up as much real estate on page one of Google is key before we even dive into any of this, okay? And especially for property damage restoration contractors, guys, people, when they're searching out your property damage on a search engine, they have an immediate need. Most people can't predict that they're going to have water damage, or they can't predict that they're going to find mold. They don't. They're going onto a search engine because they have an issue. Just like you would if your truck broke down and you were a kind of a DIY guy and you're going to go on YouTube and learn how to change your own thermostat in your coolant system. All right. People are doing the same thing when they have property damage, unless they know somebody or their brother is somewhere, right? All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about is organic traffic brings in really highly qualified leads to your business. All right. You got to have strength in numbers when it comes to traffic. You want traffic coming from everywhere, but you got to remember, anybody that's going onto a search engine, like I just mentioned, that's searching for what you do on Google has very specific intent, and they're expecting that search engine to give them the content that is going to satisfy that intent, i.e., my kitchen flooded or my house caught on fire. The quicker that they see your offer and your placement there is the solution to that problem, quicker you're going to convert. So you need to make sure you're understanding the intent of your target customer. And we talk about intent. We want to kind of think about and put yourself in their shoes. All right. So when you're developing your search engine optimization strategy and your content strategy for your site, And this is something that your agency should be doing. You have to understand who your target customer is, right? Just having a bunch of random content on your site is not going to do you any good. Really understanding the intent, the immediate need of what they do is key. All right. So you want to use that, your common sense, all of your years of service in this industry to kind of predict what keywords your potential customers are likely to use. So and really it boils down to 4 different types of keyword types that they're going to use, right? So people are using informational keywords. That's a guy like me. I'm a DIY. The first thing I'm going to do if I have an issue is I'm going to go on a search engine, if I don't already know, and I'm going to look up tips and tricks. In your industry for property damage restoration, it might be somebody that says, what do I do if my hot water heater leaks all over my bathroom? Or what do I do if I find mold? What types of mold? These are the information, like they always start out with how do I, or how to, or what. These are people looking to solve the problem on their own. They're looking for answers that are related to their issues. And they want insight into that topic. If your vehicle breaks down and you're a guy that likes to work on your own vehicle, you're going to go search on how do I change out my radiator in my car, right? And I know I'm using a lot of coolant related keywords when I'm talking about cars. I actually did the same thing this morning on one of my trucks. We have an issue. I Googled it and found out and diagnosed 3 potential issues, either radiator and a couple other things. So the other type of keyword people are going to use are navigational. So those are somebody already kind of knows, so they might have had a property damage and a guy down the road or a guy at work says, hey, use so-and-so restoration. We had a problem. They came out. They were awesome. Never had an issue with them before. And you go onto a search engine rather than just go to their site or call them directly. You're going to vet them out. You're going to go to a search engine and type in Joe's Restoration in whatever city you're in. And that's considered a navigational search. But again, that's a very, that's very good and qualified search traffic because they already know who you are, right? That's nice. Then you have transactional keywords. Those are really when somebody's ready to convert, and this might not apply to a lot of you guys out there unless you're offering some sort of like ultimate guide to property damage restoration. Or let's say you're an assessor and you're trying to build relationships with remediation companies, having some sort of guide that somebody would go to your site and fill it out, download an ebook or signing up for a free consultation. Those are going to be more of the transactional types. And then you have commercial keywords, which is indicating a lot of purchase intent. They're going to be looking into, property damage restoration contractor near me, stuff like that. Okay. So every one of these types of keywords is going to tell you something a little bit different about the user. And you got to make sure that your content matches what they're looking for. Makes sense, right? So when you're building your strategy, and we talk about this quite a bit on these episodes, I've done a ton of YouTube videos on this, but when you're coming up with your strategy, you want to cast a wide net, right? If the goal is to take up as much space on page 1 of Google as possible, you got to have the content to match that, right? So if somebody's looking up a commercial keyword and they're looking up something like how much does it cost to remediate water damage, and you've got that content on your website, then that's really good, because guess what? You're going to pop up for that. So, not every single person is going to be searching for the same thing. Every single person is different. You're going to have people that don't want to get their hands dirty. They don't care. They just want somebody to come in, take care of their problem, and be done with it, right? So that's when you're going to have more things like, the commercial keywords in there and informational keywords in there. But more so, having a good mix of all of this is important, because your content should drive them to take the action that you want. So yeah, let's say you're writing content for a DIY guy, right? You're writing, hey, the article might be something like, hey, what do I do if I find mold in my home? And you give them the whole entire process. Hey, this is the type of mold. This is why mold is dangerous. This is what you do. But your whole goal with your content strategy is to kind of funnel them into taking action and doing what you want them to do, right? So you want to make sure that you are covering the bases with all that. And if budgeting is an issue, this is even more important, because if you have content like that on your website and you are directing them what you want them to do, you want to take them out of the mentality from an informational type search into more of an awareness progress. You want them to be aware of how dangerous it is to try to remediate mold on their own. And you want to make sure that you are getting them to take some sort of action on your website, right? So you can shorten the sales cycle a little bit, because some of these guys aren't going to be ready to make a purchase, right? Some of these guys that are going on, especially for the informational stuff, they're trying to do it themselves. So your goal from that point in your content and the way your site's set up is to try to get them to actually take action and realize that you're the best option for them when it comes to property damage, okay? So the faster basically you can use your content, I'm gonna go back a slide, the faster you can use the content here and mix between informational, navigational, transactional, and commercial keywords, the more you can kind of drive them and show them why you're the solution, the more likely they're going to call, because you're going to have people that are ready to call. You're going to have people that aren't. You're going to have people that are just poking around for information, looking for costs, making sure that your insurance is going to get covered, make sure they don't have to come up with any money out of pocket, stuff like that. And this is all stuff that you guys already know. You just have to get that stuff onto your website and understand, just like if you were talking to somebody in public, your content has to speak to them in that way, right? And usually, most of the guys that we deal with here, most of them, if you could put them in front of a group of people that had property damage, they're going to close every one of those guys, because they're able to hear their issues and they're able to show them how they can fix that. And that's what your content has to do on your site, right? So you want to rank right, you want to rank well, try to rank for all of these different types of keyword types. All right, make a spreadsheet, come up with the keywords you feel people are going to be looking for when they're searching for property damage. If you've gotten my book, I have a ton of them in there. I think we have a free download on our website at ironcladrestorationmarketing.com. I want to say it's for the water damage keyword. So, have at it, go. It's free. Just go download them and check it out. All right. And this comes up quite a bit. A lot of you guys out there, and I hear this a lot. I'm in a lot of different Facebook groups. You guys are using lead gen, you're using Home Advisors, Angie's List, 33 miles, a big one. And those are great. Those are getting you jobs. Now, unfortunately, they're non-inclusive. So really, it's whoever's paying the most money, whoever's getting on top of those the fastest is going to get those leads. So what organic search does is it more sustainable in the long run, right? So pay-per-click and lead gen, pay-per-click especially requires constant investment. You've got to be paying for all those clicks. You got to be paid somebody to manage the stuff. And then you have to have somebody sitting there optimizing the stuff. There, you can't set it and forget it, right? You can't just set it up, because one, your cost per clicks change seasonally, and depending on how many people are bidding on those keywords. Your competition can reverse engineer pay-per-click campaigns and just take you over, right? So you're going to get results. And we always preach to, if budget permits, when somebody's just starting out, always SEO as the foundation. Google My Business ties into the SEO, because that gets you ranked in the map section, and pay-per-click and lead gen should be right there up at the top. More so, we stay away from the lead gen stuff just because of the non-inclusivity of the leads. I don't like the model of pay to play. Whoever's given the most money is going to win, and it's hard for you guys out there to keep up with the bigger companies, right? They've got an unlimited budget, and that's where organic traffic comes in, because organic traffic, it's not a pay to play. It's whoever has the best content, whoever's content and links and how they set their business up matches what their people are looking for. That's how Google is going to rank, not based off of how much money you're spending. Pay-per-click kind of works like that. It has to be relevant, but you can, if you set a budget of $500 a click, you're probably going to be right up there. You're going to spend a ton of money. All right. So the other big thing about it is when you're pumping money into these things like 33 Mile and Angie's List, let's say you stop. Let's say something happens. You're waiting for checks to come in. You haven't gotten any money in and you stop. Well, guess what happens to your pay-per-click ad? Guess what happens to your ads in 33 Mile and your leads in 33 Mile? You're not going to get any. You lose all that momentum. So organic traffic is evergreen, right? You can't set it and forget SEO, right? The algorithms and the ranking factors change so much, it drives me crazy. But if you are intentional, shout out to Diojo, the Be Intentional workbook. But if you're intentional with your content, an organic search or organic traffic strategy with SEO is as close as you're going to get to a traffic system that's set on autopilot. And it's really one of the bigger reasons that it's key, and it's the foundation. If you've ever seen any of our other videos, and I've got the pyramid of success, if you want to call it, SEO is the foundation of all of your marketing. If you're not going to do anything else, a proper search engine optimization strategy to drive your rankings up to get that organic traffic is key, because at some point your content is more of an investment than a pay to play like pay-per-click or a lead gen service, right? So I know what you're saying. So organic traffic, so you're going to pay somebody to do SEO for you. It's super expensive, right? There is a ton of competition. All right. If you looked at the cost per click for water damage, like in a raining season in South Florida, you'd probably run the other way, right? And there's guys out there that have got the money. They don't mind throwing $10,000, $20,000 a month at pay-per-click. If you can afford that, obviously you're going to be dominating. But there's guys that can't do that. And organic doesn't cost you anything outside of the legwork it takes to get there. Okay? It's not free. It does take a lot of time. It does take a lot of money. But the difference is it is cheaper. If you broke down your marketing spends, it is cheaper than pay-per-click. And what it's doing is it's giving you assets to develop an organic strategy that appreciates over time. So if you look at pay-per-click like a meal, the best meal in the world, no matter what the meal tastes like, it's still gone once you eat it, right? And organic traffic is like planting a garden, right? You're gonna get a ton of salads out of your garden, right? Or it's like farming. You can go buy a steak, or you can go get a cow and have a ton of steaks at one point. That a cow is going to appreciate in value, just like the stock market, right? So when you're developing an organic search or a SEO strategy that's trying to drive organic traffic, you're developing content. You're developing high quality, value based articles. If it's a blog post, you are putting content onto your website. You're on social media posting before and afters. You should be adding videos to YouTube, how to, and putting all that stuff on your website. And remember, the ironclad digital omnipresence approach. And again, shout out Diojo. If you're intentional with all that content, these assets are going to work for your business as long as they live online. And if you syndicate them properly, they're going to be there forever. So instead of running out of a budget for pay-per-click and turning it off, and then you have no leads for however long until you can afford it again, all that money that you invested in SEO, all that time that you invested in the right partner for marketing agency is going to continue to pay off. It's like planting an apple tree. You're always going to be able to get apples, but it does take some time for that tree to bear fruit. All right. You're building an ecosystem that's going to fuel itself. Right. So now imagine that you're getting calls, you're getting leads, and you're generating traffic, and you're not paying a whole lot of money for it. Your cost per lead, it goes down significantly, right? And this is a cumulative effect. You have to keep that in mind, right? But it is a really nice position to be in if you just get that perpetual pipeline filled with leads coming in because you've ranked your website for all the 4 different types of keyword sets and all the different cities that you serve and all the different services. You have the right content. You're taking that content, you're posting it on social media. You're creating this well-oiled machine of visibility online that's going to appreciate over time. While, again, I got to say this, pay-per-click is fantastic if budget permits. It's awesome. If we have a client that comes in ironclad restoration marketing, that's one of the first things we say is like, at least while the organic search is taking its time to grow and build, run some pay-per-click. Let's figure out a budget that works for you. Let's optimize this. Let's take a couple weeks and let's just get some leads in right now. Sometimes, that leads into getting a bunch of jobs. So they always want to have that placement. They have the ads, they have the maps rankings, and they have organic. But the reality is a lot of times people don't click on ads, right? So I always tend to, let's run pay-per-click until, if you can't afford it, we'll stop. Let's at least give us a month or two just to get you some leads in to pay that organic strategy through SEO. So SEO, you got to do it. If it doesn't make sense from a cost perspective, it needs to make sense from a common sense perspective, and that's how people are finding people, right? If you don't have a solid SEO strategy, you don't have the right content on your website, having a website is going to be like having a business card that you never hand to anybody, right? It's like building a billboard in the middle of a 10,000 acre wilderness area that literally like maybe one person might stumble across if somebody finds a Reddit thread about some weird billboard in the middle of nowhere. Okay, so you got to invest in SEO. And really it is, in the long run, it's cheaper than pay-per-click, and it does grow in value over time. Not even just from a keyword perspective, but the content that you're creating, you use it across the board everywhere. All right, and it's evergreen. All right. And organic search traffic gives you a competitive edge. Listen, attention is currency, right? The more placements for the more keywords you have on page one of Google. So if you're dominating the search results for water damage restoration in your city, you're going to dominate that market, right? Your competitors cannot recreate your content experience. Think about that. So if you've got the right content, you've got the right value-based information, it's optimized to get you ranked, and now you're ranking for a ton of stuff in your service area. That's amazing. Pay-per-click, whether you know this or not, so I could go into anybody's pay-per-click. I can look at the top competitor in your city. We could reverse engineer their pay-per-click campaign and literally clone it and then throw money at it and beat you out on pay-per-click. You can't do that with SEO, technically. If somebody copies your content, they're going to get nailed with duplicate content. It's your content first. You've got it indexed. You're the man out there. It's really hard. There's over 200 ranking factors. So if somebody was to come in and try to recreate what you're doing from an organic search and an SEO strategy, it's almost impossible. They would almost have to be ripping you off 900%. Then you don't have the internal, external links. You don't have the backlinks you should be creating. You don't have the same directory listings. So if you're doing this right, you're making it almost impossible for somebody to go in and replicate you. So when you do start to dominate, I mean, you're living on top as long as you maintain everything and you continue to add fresh content to that site to make sure you maintain those rankings. Because you remember, it's like getting really good at basketball, making it into the NBA, and then never practicing again. Well, even the most best NBA or NFL players got to practice daily to make sure you're there. But the practicing gets a little bit easier once you get to that level, right? And that's how SEO kind of works, right? So again, attention equals currency, especially in this business you guys are in. The more eyeballs you can get on your site, the more apt people are to take action, the more brand awareness you're creating, the more organic traffic you have consistently on a monthly basis, the more currency you're going to have in your online space, and the more options you are going to have as far as working on conversions on your website. So you get that nailed down, you don't have really much else to worry about. All right. And again, think about this. Organic search traffic does give you a share of the greatest marketing asset that has been out forever, right? So think about it. Again, I said this in the beginning. Where do you go when you have a problem or you want to learn about something? Google. It's a no-brainer. 93% of online interactions start on a search engine, and I have a feeling that number is going to be even higher and higher with Google's new algorithm updates and things like that, trying to create the right ecosystem of user experience and serving the best results. All right. The search engine, you have to look at the search engine as a matchmaker between the people that have all the money, that have all the property damage, and your business. All right. So you got to make sure that you're not neglecting that as part of your strategy. Again, it is expensive, but it's almost like, you buy and you invest a lot of money in your work trucks, your drying equipment, or you might rent it, but it's a huge investment. You got to look at your marketing strategy as the same thing. Okay. You don't want to be in a situation where, you're getting a ton of referrals, but then those referrals dry up. What if the plumber that's been referring you all this work or the public adjuster that's been referring you all this work retires? Then you're back to square one, and you don't have a pipeline of leads coming in because you don't have organic traffic, because you don't have a website that's optimized properly. All right. So just understanding that Google is literally just a matchmaker between you and your target client, you got to play the game, and you got to have the right content on your website, and SEO is that key to the kingdom. Be intentional with your content strategy. All right. So quick recap. I hope you guys got a little value out of there. I hope I stood on my soapbox long enough and convinced you that you need to be doing SEO for your business. You need to have that organic traffic. If it's not for the money reasons, which, why are you in business if you don't want to make money? Then the common sense reasons should just make you get out there and start kind of re-examining how you're approaching your marketing strategy for your restoration business. You got to remember, people who are looking for what you do have an immediate need. All right. SEO is going to build authority in your space. The more rankings you can have on page one, YouTube videos, social media posting, your Google business posting, blogs, all that stuff is going to build authority. And not only in Google's eyes, but in the people that you're trying to get to give you money and have you remediate their property damage. All right. SEO is hands down the winner of the fight between pay-per-click and lead gen. SEO is the most sustainable and most cost-effective in the long run way to market your business online. You have to remember to be intentional with your content. Understand who you are bringing to your website, why you're bringing them there, and what types of things they might be looking for, whether they know they need property damage or they don't know, the DIY, the informational keywords. You have to be intentional with that to understand, to make sure you have the right content. Make sure you use that content to funnel them from the tire kickers to somebody that's going to pick up the phone and realize that they're going to bite off more than they can chew. They need to call you right away. You are the solution to their problems, and you need to implement this stuff immediately. So if you're paying a digital marketing agency for whatever, or you've got people in-house, start taking a look at the strategy they're using, the type of content they're putting in, but more so, just look at the analytics. It's very easy. If you have an agency you're paying and they're not going over Google Analytics with you on a monthly basis, or at least sending you some sort of report that has your Google Analytics in it, then you need to really revisit what you're actually paying for, all right? You need to understand where the traffic is coming from to your website from. All right. And you need to implement this immediately, right? You want to get leads, you want to be up there, do it. All right. If you need any help, give us a call at Ironclad. Buy my book. I just released the revised edition of it. This book is a step-by-step guide of what you need to do when it comes to internet marketing to get those leads in. So it covers everything from SEO to website building to keyword choosing to pay-per-click to video, social media, anything in between. There's a free QR code to get this free checklist. But if you don't want to buy the book and you just want the checklist, you just got to head over to our website, ironcladrestorationmarketing.com, download it. This checklist basically just walks you through everything you need to make sure you have in order to make sure that you're maximizing your visibility online. So a lot of the stuff we talked about today, a lot of stuff about Google Business and pay-per-click, and more of just like an infrastructure standpoint for your business. Checklist is free. You literally just put your email in and we'll email it to you. Call us, email us, drop us a question, leave us a review. If you're listening to this on any of the streaming services, drop us a review. I'd love to hear some feedback, maybe some things that you're struggling with. As soon as we get enough questions, I'm going to be hosting an AMA, or Ask Me Anything podcast. So basically anything you're struggling with your business, from a branding perspective and graphic design to internet marketing, I'm here to answer your questions. May even bring in a couple special guests to help us cover that. You can get in touch with us anytime. And that will wrap up this episode of the Restoration Rundown podcast. I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope you got a lot of value out of there. I hope I don't need to tell you anymore that you need to be implementing SEO right now for your business. Anyhow, guys, have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.